Hey there, glad you're here. Let me ask you something important. What would you do if the government suddenly detained you, or someone you love, without explanation? No charges. No trial. No chance to tell your side of the story. Just held indefinitely. Sounds like something out of a movie, right? But that's exactly what the constitutional right of habeas corpus is designed to protect us from. And right now, there's a serious conversation happening in Washington about whether a president, specifically former President Trump, could suspend this right in the name of national security or immigration enforcement. It might not make the evening news, but this debate could impact the core of our freedoms for years to come. So today, let's break it down: what habeas corpus really is, how it works, and why this moment matters more than most people realize. But before we dive in, let me know: have you ever worried about how much power the government has when it comes to detention or law enforcement? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you find this kind of breakdown helpful, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss updates on the rights and policies that directly affect you. So what is habeas corpus? You may have heard the term in court dramas or history class, but here's the real deal. Habeas corpus is Latin for "you shall have the body." But practically, it means this: if the government detains you, you have the right to go before a judge, who can demand evidence for why you're being held. If there's no good reason, the court can order your release. This isn't a luxury, it's a fundamental protection written into the Constitution, in Article 1. It predates the US, going all the way back to English common law, where it served as a check on monarchs and arbitrary imprisonment. In plain terms, habeas corpus is what stands between you and a government that can lock people up without cause. Can habeas corpus be suspended? Yes, but only in extreme, narrowly defined situations. The Constitution says it can only be suspended in cases of rebellion or invasion, when the public safety may require it. That's a high bar. It's only happened a handful of times. The most notable case? During the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus to arrest suspected Confederate sympathizers without court review. Even then, the Supreme Court pushed back, saying Lincoln didn't have that power on his own. Eventually, Congress gave temporary approval, setting a precedent. Only Congress, not the president alone, can suspend habeas corpus. Why is this coming up again? Fast forward to today. Some of Trump's allies are floating the idea of suspending habeas corpus to accelerate deportations. Their argument? That what's happening at the southern border qualifies as an invasion, and extraordinary measures are needed to protect public safety. Trump has described groups of migrants, especially from Venezuela, as dangerous, even criminal. His team argues the court system is overwhelmed and too slow, so they want the power to detain and deport people more quickly. But here's the issue. Legal experts and judges overwhelmingly say this doesn't hold up. Courts across the country have ruled that today's immigration challenges do not meet the constitutional definition of an invasion. And even when immigration laws were tightened, in 1996 and 2005, for example, habeas corpus was never removed. Because once you take that right away, you open the door to indefinite detention with no legal challenge for anyone. Why this should matter to all of us? Look, habeas corpus isn't just about immigrants or border issues. It's about the balance of power. It ensures no president, no matter the party, can lock people up without oversight. Courts are meant to say, hold on, show me the evidence. If you remove that safeguard, even temporarily, you create a precedent. And once that line is crossed, it's easier to cross it again, for protests, political opponents, journalists, you name it. And yes, some argue the court system is broken or slow. That's a valid concern. But the solution isn't to strip away rights, it's to fix the system, not destroy the foundation it stands on. Remember, even after 9/11, President George W. Bush didn't suspend habeas corpus. His administration tried to restrict it in places like Guantanamo Bay, but the Supreme Court struck back in 2008, saying even so-called enemy combatants have the right to challenge their detention. So if we didn't suspend this right during one of the worst attacks in modern history, why would we do it now? What this means for you: it's easy to think habeas corpus only affects people in immigration detention. But when one group loses a core protection, everyone becomes more vulnerable. Legal scholars like Professor Amanda Tyler of UC Berkeley are warning that this moment could shift the balance of power between the presidency and the courts in a way that would have shocked the Constitution's founders. Some believe this push is political, that framing immigration as a national security issue makes it easier to bypass oversight. Others say it's part of a deeper trend, where courts are viewed not as guardians of rights, but as roadblocks to political goals. Either way, this isn't just a legal debate. It's about whether our system of checks and balances still works, and whether our freedoms are really secure. If you've stuck with me this far, thank you. And I'd love to hear your take. Do you think government power is starting to tip too far in one direction? Do you ever wonder what would happen if our rights weren't protected? Let's start that conversation in the comments. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and hit subscribe. It's totally free, and it helps me keep bringing you calm, clear breakdowns of the issues that impact your rights and your future. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay thoughtful, and I'll see you in the next one.